Alright boys, let's build a PC with a budget of around $600 with an RTX card in August 2022. Okay, let's start off with the CPU. We're going to pick the Ryzen 3600. Yes, this is a third generation Ryzen processor with 6 cores and 12 threads, and is a very capable processor for only $144 US. Not as good as the 5000X series, but this is still good, right? But hey, overseer PC, isn't this an older processor? Why don't you pick those modern processors like the 5500 or the 4500? Well, this processor is indeed older compared to those two, but this is actually more superior compared to those two. The Ryzen 3600 has actually more cache than those two and natively supports PCIe 4.0. Those two processors only have half the cache or maybe even less for the 4500 and is only limited to PCIe 3.0. So yeah, don't buy the 4500 or the 5500 as I wouldn't call them as true Zen 3 processors. They're more like poor cousins. Yeah, so don't buy the 5500 or the 4500. They're really poor performing processors. I probably wouldn't look at those ones, really. Okay, so just get this one. $145, boys. For the motherboard, we are going cheap. Like really cheap because of our budget. We are picking the MSI A320 Pro-VH Pro Series motherboard. Wow, that's a long name. Basically, it's an A320 motherboard. It's really cheap. It's very basic. It comes with only 2 RAM slots in here. Alright, and it only comes with PCIe 3.0 lanes for the graphics card. No heat sinks or anything fancy. It's just bare bone basic. This wouldn't break any world records, but it's cheap and it works. For the RAM, we are picking our favorite cheap ass RAM, the Silicon Power Value Gaming RAM. 16GB at 3200 MHz. It has decent timings at 16, 18, 18, 38, so that's pretty decent, nothing fancy, and as always it comes with a gray camouflage color. This is just going to set us back $48, so that's a pretty cheap RAM, and this is what I always recommend if you're on a budget build. Now for our drive, we are going with a 500GB NVMe storage, and what we have chosen is the MSI Spatium M390. It's currently at 27% off, bringing the price down to $40, boys. Wow, that's amazing. That's an amazing price right there. 3000 megabytes per second for read and write, really good speeds, and the best part, it's guaranteed up to 1200 terabytes written. Let me repeat that again, boys. 1200 terabytes written with 5-year warranty. That's a really good deal right there. And before we proceed, if you find this video helpful, please support our channel by hitting that like button. Alright, let's get back to the video. Alright, for the fun part, our graphics card, we are going with the EVGA GeForce RTX 2060 SC gaming card. This is only the 6GB card, but this is pretty decent. I mean, look at the price, boys. It's only at $230. That's amazing value right there. Do note this card is actually faster than the RTX 3050, and it still has the modern NVIDIA features like DLSS, and it can run games with ray tracing, but I wouldn't expect too much with ray tracing on this card. Main thing is that this card is very capable of playing games and has DLSS, so if you need that extra FPS bump on games which supports it like Warzone, this will work just fine. And I know it's a single fan design, boys, but this is okay. This will work just fine, boys. And look at that price. You can't say no to that price, boys. For our power supply, we are going with the EVGA 600W380 Plus white power supply. Yes, it's 600 watts and it comes with 3-year warranty at only $40. It's a decent power supply for the price, and it comes with those flat cables which will make your build look nice. And as always, there's nothing fancy here. It's just something that works for our build, something basic but still has that quality. right? It's only 40 bucks, boys, but it's 600 watts and decent. For the case, we are trying to find the best case to fit our budget. Do that, we are only limiting ourselves to $600. And what we have selected in here is the Raid Max Oriola H704. Yeah, that's a weird name, but oh well, it looks decent. All right, of course it comes with two fans, so we've got one in the front and one at the back over there, and it has some intake in the front and exhaust at the rear. So it's a pretty basic case, tempered glass and all that stuff. Looks simple, but unfortunately it has that static RGB, but that's fine. At least it comes with two fans, right? Looking at the whole components that we have pulled here, it comes down to $612.87. Okay, it's not exactly $600, boys, but we are around that ballpark, right? And if you really want to stay within the $600 budget, you can probably drop the 500GB NVMe and just pick this one instead, you know, cheaper 256GB NVMe for 24 bucks. So that should drop our prices down exactly at the $600 mark. Alright, overall this is a decent build. It comes with a capable 6-core Ryzen processor and it's paired with an RTX card. You can game comfortably with this one, boys, at 1080p and probably even do some light streaming. Hey, Overseer PC, what about upgrade options, man? Okay, if I had an extra $50, so if we have a budget of $650, I'd probably change two things with this build. Right, I'll probably change our motherboard, change our motherboard to a B450 motherboard, and what we have here is the MSI B450M Pro-VDH Max for $70, so that's $20 extra. The reason why I'm going to upgrade a motherboard is with this better motherboard we will have better power management and we will have better VRM thermal performance. So those two things are very important if we upgrade our processor later down the track, right? So if you're going to upgrade later down the track for a 5800X or the faster 5800X 3D, this motherboard can still handle it. All right. Another one that I would change is probably get even a cheap CPU cooler like this one, Thermalright Assassin X120SA, right? So that's a cheap tower cooler, 120mm fan in there. It will keep the processor at lower temperatures. The performance of the stock AMD Great Stealth cooler may not be sufficient for areas that have hotter climates. I know that there were like a few people with their Ryzen 3600 and with stock coolers that had issues with temperatures reaching really high. So you just add 20 bucks, you get this really cheap cooler that works fine and will keep your processor cool. You know, the cooler it is, the longer. And that's it for our video, boys. If you had an extra $200, so if you have an $800 budget, I'd probably suggest that you look at this video right here. This is a much more superior build for $200 extra. Definitely check it out, and I'll see you guys over there.